What is going on, guys? Ultimate Deadpool here, back with another video. Today we are going to be looking at NECA's Art the Clown. I know some of you guys have been waiting for me to do this. I also have been waiting on this guy for a while. I do have another video shot and ready. I just haven't edited it yet. It is a trailer for the Connected Universe, so it's going to be a real trailer, not a piece of crap trailer that the second one was, but it's going to be more along the lines of hopefully the first trailer that is somehow my most popular video I have ever made. But anyway, enough about that. Today we are looking at Art the Clown from the Terrifier franchise. So, he comes with a shit ton of stuff. He actually has some really cool little things and gimmicks that he can do. So, without further ado, let's get started. Starting off with Art the Clown's box. Now, some of you guys might know that anyone who's watched one of my previous, NECA figure reviews or whatever beforehand, knows I actually don't mind. Oh, there we go. I was wondering where that light was. Okay, that I actually do like looking at box arts and stuff like that if it's tasteful. This is perfect. You know exactly who it's supposed to be, what movie it's from, blah blah blah, and just yeah. Versus some of these things, they have the image of something completely random, but 9 times out of 10, they have either the movie poster, the movie logo, or something like that. This, I think, is really well done. And then you have, I really do like this, where Art the Clown has actually sawed through the, the box and is popping out off to the side. I actually like that, and that's some actual figure photography. So that is the actual figure doing that particular gesture. And then on the back, it's got some other crazy wackiness with Art holding a pistol, holding I believe, a scalpel, a bone saw, a machete, and all these different little faceplates and stuff. We'll get into that, and I really want to talk. I cannot wait to talk about these faceplates later on. But there's blood splatter and stuff everywhere. And then on the opposite side, it's not the same image. So that's kind of a nice little touch that they actually took different photos for different things. And I'm just now noticing this. This half of the box is black, while this half is white. Perfectly matching Art's attire. Even the freaking little placement holder thing has that. That's a really good attention to detail. And then if you open it up, you can see there's more Art on the inside of it, no pun intended. And then he comes with a crap ton of stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and pop out his accessories and take a look at those. And here we have all of the pieces that come with Art the Clown. So he's got 4 different faces, a crap ton of weapons, most of which, if not all of which, can fit in his little plastic trash bag, a baby doll for some reason, and a odd number array of hands. So we're not going to go into the faces just yet. We'll get into those later. But I don't remember there being a baby doll like this in any of the Terrifier films. Let me know if I'm misremembering, because it's been a while since I've seen the Terrifier movies, to be honest with you. So he only comes with 3 hands for his left side, which is funny because he's got, 2 splayed out like finger open palm hands or whatever that are already installed right out of the box. But then he's got 1 trigger finger hand and 1 gripping hand. No matching gestures or anything like that. Nope. Oh, and I apologize if the camera looks a little funky. For my phone that I use for YouTube stuff is all kinds of messed up and broken. So right now it's going to be kind of weird at certain camera angles like it is currently. So please bear with me and just try to ignore that factor. So now that the hands and stuff are out of the way and the baby doll's out of the way, we'll go ahead and get the faces and stuff out of the way. He comes with a, I believe, drywall hammer, a kitchen knife, a regular everyday hammer, and I actually do like the sculpt work and the paint work on all of his weapons. A tomahawk or something. This is like another hardware style tool. You can tell because like right up front here would be the teeth to remove the nail and stuff. So I'm gonna say this is another form of hammer. A ridiculously long either bone cutting knife or a machete. Two different meat cleavers. One is obviously bigger than the other. A little power drill. Be super freaking careful with this. The drill bit is rather flimsy. It's not the most flexible thing in the world. I would not put too much pressure on that. And then the cord is relatively simple as well. I also love how they gave it little prongs, so it's like you could actually plug this into a wall. Although that cable is not really all that long, so I don't think you're going to be able to do that unless you have an extension cord. He does come with his revolver or some form of pistol. I'm not real big on firearms, so I'm not entirely sure what this is. A little medical scalpel. I'm assuming some form of ice pick. A potato peeler, I think is what this is supposed to be. I don't know. It's a very small little handheld knife. A bone saw, and I definitely do not remember him using these in any of the Terrifier films. Like I said, it's been a while since I've seen them, but I don't remember this unholy mess of pain. There is a scalpel on multiple little whip things and surgical scissors, two of which on one on each end. Ow, ow, ow to whoever gets hit with this thing. And his little trash bag is just that. It's literally a 1/10 scale trash bag. You can open it up and pop all of the weapons and stuff in there. And then it's just a little piece of cardboard in there as filler. But it is a legitimate 1/10 scale trash bag, because for those of you who don't know, yes, NECA is not 1/12 scale, it is 1/10 scale. Hence why they tend to run a little bit taller than, standard Marvel Legend figures or stuff like that. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get Art the Clown himself out here. Before we get any further, yes, I wanted to prove to you that you can put every single one of his spare weapons and or accessories in there. If you wanted to, you could always throw his hands in there as well for storage purposes as well, and all of his other faceplates. There is plenty of room inside this little trash bag. The weapons only come up to about here on it, so you have plenty of room to put all of his accessories in. That way you don't have to keep going to the box or a accessories tub or whatever you put all your spare accessories in. You can simply just have it inside his little trash bag, and then whenever you want to change up his face, his pose, his hands, whatever, his weapons, it's all right there in the trash bag. You don't have to go rifling around in the accessory tubs or anything like that. Standing straight up and down, no crazy poses or any accessories like that. I went with the most neutral face I could find. Not exactly the most neutral thing. He looks more sad or slightly pissed off than anything else. But wow. NECA, pat yourselves on the back. This dude is fantastic. He can articulate relatively well, even with a few minor complaints that we'll get into in a little bit. He comes with a shit ton of weapons and stuff, 4 different face plates, and a good, decent variety of hands. I would have preferred more, but that's just me. So, honestly, though, and the slimness of him, the height that he's at, I mean, everything down to the last minute detail has been thought of with Art the Clown. There is even a mold line on the top of his head, we'll get into it in a minute, where his hat would be on a string at like the screen-used costume was that David Howard Thornton used in all 3 movies. So, let's go ahead and stop talking and get him off the turntable and take a closer look at Art the Clown. Whoa. This is blowing my mind. This looks exactly like David Howard Thornton in the Art the Clown makeup, no matter what you do with it. And this is what I was referring earlier. There is a mold line that would be pulling his little balaclava or mask or whatever taut around his head, so that way his hat would stay on his head, just like it is in the movie. And hell, last year, the year before, 2024, I dressed as Art the Clown for Halloween, and that's exactly what we had when I did the same thing. So the fact that they went ahead and added that mold line and make the hat part of the head was genius. They could have easily had the hat movable. It would have fallen off. It would have been a floppy mess, or it would have been a peg port, and you would have to pop it in his head and leave it sit there, and then try to figure out, okay, well, what is holding it on. Really nice attention to detail. Also, there's a cut on the back of his little clowny floofiness. I don't know what the hell you want to call that, but it's there on his collar. He does have two buttons, or two little pom-poms on his chest. There are supposed to be three. I think this is based off Art the Clown's appearance in Terrifier 1, not Terrifier 2, which is funny because in Terrifier 1, David Howard Thornton... oh, no, he did play that one. That was All Hallows Eve. Never mind. I'm misremembering stuff. So, but in later movies, he had three little pom-poms, not two. And then he does have a relatively slender physique, because David Howard Thornton is not a big person. He's a relatively scrawny and lanky guy. He's got really nice, exaggerated clown shoes that actually have some really decent weathering on them. I had no idea that Art the Clown's soles on his shoes were coming off, or how weathered they were. I thought they were just traditional clown shoes and whatnot, but no, there is sculpt work showing tears and holes and gashes and the soles coming off of the fronts. I had no idea that any of that was like that, so props to NECA for actually knowing that stuff. So let's go ahead and really quickly try out all the different faceplates that he has. This is the one he came with right out of the box, and oh my, this is one creepy ass freaking clown. I don't mind clowns. I've had my fair share of, clowns and stuff when I was a kid, but this is just, yeah, I would not want to meet this guy in a dark alley, especially with a head tilt sideways. He looks so freaking creepy, which is perfect because it's Art the Clown. He's supposed to be creepy. And it's just something about him. Like, it doesn't matter which way you tilt it. If you tilt his head one way, and that's one of the things I do remember. I think somebody said in an interview with David Howard Thornton is like, how do you get so much personality out of Art the Clown, because he does not speak? And he said he always, and I think his answer struck me. It was facial movements, because when you're in the prosthetics, your entire face is hidden. But your face and body movements do all the heavy lifting for your acting when you're a silent character. So you have to be as expressive as you can be, and I think they captured that beautifully in all four of these faceplates. Okay, now Art looks a little terrified, no pun intended, but he looks a little shocked, like, whoa, you're still alive, or you're doing something, or whatever. It's like, how are you not dead? Or, oh crap, I'm about to get my ass kicked or my head decapitated off. So there is one other tiny little microscopic complaint, if I had to say anything. The white balaclava is not supposed to be stark white like his face. There is supposed to be a slight color mix match between the two. Not a big deal breaker for me at all. It's just something to be aware of. His balaclava is actually supposed to be the same color as his gloves. No big deal. But just, if that's something that will bother you, just keep that in mind, that his balaclava mask, or whatever you want to call this headpiece, is not going to match his gloves like they're supposed to. Because in most scenes, especially, the mask is not the same color as his face, unless, again, of course, I'm misremembering. But if I remember correctly, his little face mask thing is supposed to be the same color as his gloves, versus his face is supposed to be stark white, just like the rest of his outfit. But again, I could be misremembering. Like I said, it's been a while since I've seen the Terrifier films. Real quickly, while we're here, ignore the fact that he's not having a faceplate. I wanted to show you how relatively easy it is to put his face in. And by the way, his teeth on all of the freaking head or faceplates are different inserted dentures behind the sculpt work, which is what these two pieces are. What this piece is right here, right back here. That is what's actually having his teeth in. That's how they're able to get so much detail without getting it all over the other face. Every single other faceplate has that exact same thing, except for the sad / neutral one. That one does not have it, but otherwise the creepy sinister grin has one. The more shocked expressions got it. So all the ones where you can see Art the Clown's teeth have that little piece in the back showing that they are separate inserted dentures behind the face to make it as real and as realistic as possible. So reinstalling the face is not too hard. The tolerances around everything looks pretty good. But you do have to give it an extra little push just to make sure everything locks in place. And once it does, it'll be fine. My only concern is that eventually if you do that too many times, those peg ports are going to wear out and none of the faceplates will work. So be very careful. Or I would express some caution when you're going to pull the faceplates out. Do it very gently, and then reinsert them very gently. You don't want to be super rough with it, because then those two little peg ports inside, they will eventually get rounded out, and none of the faceplates at that point will fit inside the head. So unless you use some form of glue tack or something in there to help hold everything together. Otherwise, your best bet, pick a face, let it sit there for a while, and then if you want to change it out later, go for it. If you're changing this all the time, those peg ports are going to get worn out relatively decently, or are eventually going to get wore out, and then none of them will fit. So, but honestly, we're just going to go ahead and put him back to neutral. Real quick before we do that, though, I didn't talk about this faceplate all that much. This is the probably craziest faceplate. This is Art the Clown mid Murder Me type thing, or whatever, where he's just having a blast doing something disgusting and vile and everything else to the human body, because that's what Art the Clown does. So honestly, all four of these faceplates are really well done. They all look exactly like he's supposed to, and it does not matter if you do a head tilt one way or the other or whatever. This dude looks creepy as hell, no matter what you do, and I think that's perfect for Art the Clown. Alright, back to relatively neutral. So like I said, you can store all of his miscellaneous accessories / weapons inside his bag. I have not put the face plates or the hands in there, but everything else is in there. He doesn't really come with a hand specifically to hold it. You could probably fudge it and get away with like a trigger finger hand holding it at an angle, but he doesn't really come with any hands meant specifically to hold his bag of weapons, because in the films he always has his arm like this, and he's carrying around his bag of stuff. But for some reason, they don't give him a hand specifically to do that. So, pros and cons. Pro: this guy looks exactly like he should. This looks exactly like David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown, through and through, in 1/10 scale. Con: single bend elbows. Why? I understand why they did that, because they wanted to make it look as clean and as whatever as possible, but you can get so much more dynamic with double bend elbows. Like take for instance Wolverine. He's got double bend elbows, and you can get him up all the way, so much more expressive. Versus with Art the Clown, you can only get about maybe a slightly past 90-degree angle bend. And for a character that is as crazy and as wacky and as zany and dynamic as Art the Clown, I don't think single bend elbows were the right call. Same thing with single bend legs. I just don't think that was the right call, because yeah, he can get his leg up and do some really sick twisted things, hunching forward like that. But again, I think double bend knees and double bend elbows were an essential part to make Art the Clown be more expressive and or more sinister for posing purposes. Obviously, if you're just going to have him on a shelf standing there like this, it's fine. It's fine for what you're using it for. It's not a big complaint. It's just something to be aware of if you're a fan of double bend elbows like me and double bend knees like me. That's not going to be there with this guy. This guy is going to have single bend elbows and single bend knees through and through. So if that's a deal breaker for you, then don't get this guy. If it's not a deal breaker for you, like it's not for me, then absolutely go for it, because Art the Clown is a very expressive character, and also, he's one of the most iconic horror movie slashers of all time, which is saying something because now he has reached that icon status. So props go to David Leone's team and everybody else who created the Terrifier franchise. One other little con, though, his the white paint for his elbows is flaking off as I'm filming this video. That's what these little white speckles on my fingers are from. Because they painted the elbow joint to try to match and seamless everything. I get it. Don't do that. Just let it be unpainted white plastic. It'll be fine. I know collectors, that drives people crazy when they see the bends and the visible articulation and stuff. It doesn't bother me, because at the end of the day, these are action figures. They are meant to pose. They are meant to move around. They are meant to be in specific, specific gestures like that. Or, just for example, who cares if you can see a stupid joint? It's called an action figure for a reason. That's just my opinion, though. I know for some people, though, that's going to drive a lot of people crazy and whatnot, and that's perfectly fine. If it drives you crazy, again, just simply don't get this guy, or just know that, hey, the paint on his left elbow is going to flake off every now and then. So, really, that's pretty much it, except for articulation. His neck and head are two separate pieces. So there's a ball joint at the base of his neck and another one underneath the head. Combined, he can look forward all the way forward to about there, looking up about there, swivel and pivot. Actually, yeah, both of them get a freaking crazy amount of articulation through both of his head and his neck combined. His arms go up to about there before they stop because of just the nature of his suit design. Going down, or forward and back. There's no butterflies or anything like that, so don't expect anything crazy. Like we said earlier, single bend. His wrists are, believe, on hinges, and then they can also act as a swivel. His torso goes forward, backwards, significantly more than forward, swivel and pivot. His legs go up, if you force it, about yay high. But just know that it'll crease all this rubber suit that's behind him. Going back, going out. And then, like I said, like we said, oh, shit. Okay, well, wow. Well, thanks, NECA, for making your joints unbelievably tight. This was not planned. I'm not happy about this. So, yeah, cool. Yay. So, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and cut this video short because that was not supposed to happen, but that is what happens when you use extremely tight joints on shit that's not supposed to be extremely tight. You're not supposed to have extremely tight joints like that, NECA. This should not have happened. First and foremost. But that joint was unbelievably tight, and when I went to go simply bend it once, it decided to snap. So, That is not a good thing. So I'm a little irritated about that now. Because at my local Target that I got this from, this was the only one that they had. So it's not like I can go up there and just exchange it because this was the only one that they had. I will, of course, try to return it, or if I can't fix it, but I shouldn't have to fix it. This should be right out of the box, ready to go, and the joint just freaking snapped on me when I barely touched it to bend his kneecap backward. Okay, well, this video is now over, so, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys all next time on Ultimate Deadpool. Peace out, you guys are awesome. I'll catch you guys all later. Bye.